We start with Ukraine. Politics has taken a back seat in Ukraine since Russia's invasion on its eastern flank. But things are changing now as the front lines continue to close in. Questions are rising on future of Zelensky's so far undisputed hold on power. Now, according to the reports, the push came from Washington following the infamous public spat between Ukraine's president and Donald Trump at the Oval. J.D. Vance's team tried to poach Valerii Zaluzhny. Zaluzhny is Ukraine's ambassador to the United Kingdom. He previously held the position of Commander-in-Chief for the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Reports suggest that Vance and Trump's other close confidants were hunting for potential alternatives to troublesome Zelensky. Zaluzhny is a battle-hardened soldier, Ukraine's first top commander without Soviet army roots, who rose through the ranks from platoon commander to commander-in-chief. He fought Russians in 2014 Donbass war, a conflict that was triggered after Russia annexed Crimea. In 2021, he was appointed commander-in-chief of Ukraine's armed forces, but after the difference of opinion with Zelensky on how to counter Russia, he was stripped of his position by Zelensky and sent to London to serve as Ukraine's ambassador to the United Kingdom. It's not just Washington that sees potential in Zaluzhny. Latest polls also show that he's closing in on Zelensky. If the presidential elections were to be held today, 31% of the people, or Ukrainians, say they would vote for Zelensky. Zaluzhny stands on number 2 with 25% supporting his candidacy. Former President Petro Poroshenko is a distant third with only 6% support. The dynamics are shifting as we move into the parliamentary pitch. This is where Zaluzhny edges ahead of Zelensky, with 22% people or Ukrainians saying they would back the party of former commander-in-chief. With 8% separating them, Zelensky's bloc stands at number 2 with 14% support. The Kremlin is also keeping a close eye on these trends. Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has put a question mark on Zelensky's legitimacy as Ukraine's president. He says the Kremlin will not accept President Volodymyr Zelensky's signature on any peace deal. Lavrov says Zelensky is only a de facto leader of Ukraine, not the legitimate one. In a nation battered by a full-scale war, public opinion is gradually shifting. With trust in leadership dwindling, Zelensky is on a tightrope, managing diplomacy with legitimacy while keeping his hold on power in Ukraine. So what is the future of Volodymyr Zelensky as the president of Ukraine? There is a significant dip in his support base and support for the president of Ukraine. There are Ukrainians who say that the president is a wartime president and he needs to be changed. But according to the Kremlin, they say he's not a legitimate leader of Ukraine. And when it comes to peace deals, they need a legitimate person to sign the declarations. Ms. Olena Tregub is Secretary General of Independent Defense Anti-Corruption Committee. She is now joining us live from Kyiv, Ukraine. Tregub, thank you very much for making time for us and welcome to WION World as One. It's good to see you. I want your views on what Lavrov said. He says that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is not the legitimate leader of Ukraine, and when it comes to peace deal and peace declarations, they want a legitimate person to sign the declarations. What do you make of that statement?
This statement is fake news, fake narrative, in order to distract attention from global audiences from truth. Russia creates such fake news. One of these fake news is that they don't want to have peace with Ukraine because they don't acknowledge Zelensky as a president, while in reality he's a fully legitimate president who was fully democratically elected. It's absolutely legal that Ukraine didn't have election during war, and majority of Ukrainian citizens don't want to have any election during war, and absolutely full majority of citizens, up to 90%, acknowledge Zelensky as a legitimate democratic president. That's number one. Another fake news that Russia is making, for example, they say we don't want to have peace with Ukraine because Ukraine does not agree to give us some territory. In reality, Russia doesn't want territory. Russia just wants to go on with the war. So what I see in common with these two narratives, that Zelensky is the wrong president or Ukrainians are not allowing us having territory, what's in common is that it's just basically excuses for Russia to basically continue the war, which they have no intention to stop. And this is why they come up with this stuff. So please don't even, buy this fake news.
All right, Ms. Tregub, let's talk about the elections, because after the war, then the elections will be held, and a majority of Ukrainians are skeptical about Zelensky continuing with his rule of Ukraine, and now the name of Valerii Zaluzhny has emerged. In your own view, who do you think will be the contenders against Zelensky, having in mind Zaluzhny in the picture?
Well, definitely Zaluzhny can be a contender. There can be some contenders from a new generation of some prominent Ukrainian members of parliament, some, for example, prominent Ukrainian military commanders, prominent Ukrainian civil society leaders who became more famous during the war, recognized by the people. For example, another contender like that can be Serhiy Prytula, who is the head of charity foundation collecting money to support frontline. He's also actually a former actor and stand-up comedian. So we will have contenders, because Ukraine always has contenders, just like Zelensky became president out of the blue when he was not a politician. He just decided to run and just won election, unexpectedly for many. This time we'll also have contenders. So there is no problem with that. The problem is that, of course, we don't have a normal political process during war. And if we had a normal democratic process during war, without war, like we used to have, we regularly change parliaments, we change presidents, and there is a theory that in a transition country, like democratic country, it's very good to change presidents and parliaments on very frequent basis, because it helps to transform the country better. And we regretted that Russia attacked our democracy, and Russia took away this good trend that we had prior to full-scale war.
All right. Ms. Olena Tregub, it's good to see you. We'll have to end this discussion there. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.